In a democracy, a government is chosen by the people to represent the people, to operate with the best interests of the public at heart. But there are plenty who question the system, some who are losing faith, and some who believe that governments may be far more sinister and secretive than they'd like the watching world to think.
Welcome to WatchMojo.
And today we're exploring 4 extraordinary alleged government cover-ups that will make you question reality. We'll start with the biggie, with probably the most famous alleged cover-up of all time, the Roswell UFO incident. Now immortalized in pop culture and modern UFO mythology, Roswell is the ultimate example of how a rumored US cover-up can explode into an enduring conspiracy theory. In early July 1947, a strange object crashed down on a ranch in New Mexico. It was swiftly recovered by the US Air Force, and despite reports at the time of a flying disc landing in the desert, it didn't become the subject of wild conspiracies until a few decades later. Then the Air Force infamously said that the debris strewn across the ranch had simply been part of a weather balloon. But this explanation just didn't sit right with many Americans. With the idea of extraterrestrial visitations becoming more prominent throughout the latter half of the 20th century, that weather balloon was swiftly rebranded a UFO. And according to some variations, that UFO came complete with an alien specimen, which had been quickly transported to a top-secret base where it could be experimented on. That was the story for years, and then, in 1995, alleged footage of Roswell's alien autopsy also emerged, further stoking the idea that an extraterrestrial life form really had, in the late 1940s, landed on US soil. And ultimately, it did come out that the Roswell incident truly was a government cover-up. It's just that it wasn't, according to official lines, anything to do with aliens. The official claim now is that the weather balloon was actually a device monitoring nuclear weapons tests carried out by the Soviet Union. It's said that the Roswell UFO really belonged to an initiative managed largely by New York University called Project Mogul. It had been designed to detect the distant sound waves of nuclear detonations, and so it certainly was a high-tech piece of equipment. High-tech enough that many at the time may have understandably believed it to be not of this world. The reason for the cover-up? Mostly because this was all happening at the start of the Cold War, and US authorities reportedly didn't want to alarm the American public over Soviet activity. And what of that famous alien autopsy video? Well, it has since been revealed to be a complete hoax. Nevertheless, many to this day continue to ardently believe that aliens were to blame for Roswell. Next, and moving away from aliens for now, we consider the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, or HAARP. This was launched in the early 1990s as a joint endeavor between the US Air Force, US Navy, Department of Defense, and a local college, the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Officially, HAARP is a large facility in rural Alaska designed to study the ionosphere, which is part of the Earth's atmosphere, with the aim of developing new radio technology to improve communication links around the world. Which sounds reasonable. But again, there are some groups who question it, with many distrustful of the idea of a government device blasting strange invisible radio waves around the United States. Importantly, radio waves are harmless to humans because they're non-ionizing. But conspiracy theories abound that HAARP really exists to blast mind control signals throughout the land. These claims remain unfounded, but they've still plagued the facility since it was founded, as well as some other follow-up theories, including that HAARP can manipulate the weather. So what do we know for sure? It's true that HAARP does examine the atmosphere. We've also seen in history that it may be possible to artificially manipulate the weather, but it's thought to be almost certainly impossible to use radio waves via a facility like HAARP to trigger extreme weather events, or any weather events. Even so, over the years, HAARP has been blamed for everything from storms to earthquakes. Most notably, it was even blamed in some quarters for the 2010 Haiti earthquake, one of the worst natural disasters of modern times. The scientists working at HAARP, which has been managed entirely by the university since 2015, have continually denied that anything untoward is happening there. But still, the allegations stream in. As for the mind control aspect, If HAARP is trying to brainwash people, then it's probably worth noting that it perhaps isn't doing a very good job of it, since so many Americans seemingly suspect that something's wrong. So the secret, if there ever was one, hasn't been kept well hidden. It's not as though the US government hasn't tried brainwashing in the past, though. One of the most notorious chapters in the CIA's checkered history is surely Project MK-Ultra, which it seems really was a series of mind control experiments. The MK-Ultra program ran for 20 years, until 1973. Somewhat disturbingly, many of the records relating to it were destroyed when it closed, reportedly to stop the public from finding out the true extent of the initiative. But what we do know about it is shocking enough. Top of the rap sheet is that MK-Ultra reportedly used unwitting American citizens in its experiments. The US authorities were using the US people without permission. Next is that, for the most famous studies, the CIA are said to have drugged subjects with LSD. Today, LSD is known to be a hallucinogen, but at the time, the CIA thought the then new substance might have mind control properties, and that it would make users succumb to manipulation. So it went ahead and tried it out. It's even been alleged that the CIA tried to use LSD in one of its many attempts to discredit or assassinate the Cuban leader Fidel Castro. So while we may never know the true lengths to which Project MK-Ultra went, it allegedly did go all the way to the top table of global politics. In the meantime, it crossed paths with hundreds of unsuspecting, everyday people. But finally, what if the CIA had succeeded in their alleged plot to create a mind control chemical? Could it now be dispersing that chemical across not only the United States, but the entire world? This is a major belief in the Chemtrails conspiracy theory, which focuses on those long marks made in the sky behind high-flying aircraft. A growing conspiracy in the 21st century, believers claim that chemtrails, more accurately called condensation or contrails, are made of such a substance, which has the remarkable ability to make the public it's distributed over pliant and willing to obey. According to theorists, the chemtrails that linger the longest are the ones that are the most dangerous, while any that appear as though in formation are a sure sign of nefarious government work. In the modern world, this is perhaps one of the grandest and most all-encompassing alleged government cover-ups out there. However, the reasoning behind chemtrail claims has never really been that clear. And, unlike with the other cases mentioned in this video, the authorities flat out refuse to acknowledge it as anything other than a false conspiracy. Still, chemtrail theorists refuse to let the matter go. And for some, it's an environmental issue too, with one idea being that world governments are deliberately damaging the environment via chemtrails for some reason. What's depressing about that is that America does have a precedent of sorts for it, as during the Vietnam War, the US Army did disperse a deadly herbicide called Agent Orange across Vietnamese jungles with the aim of destroying food supplies. The full extent of Agent Orange was kept under wraps for years, but in the decades since the Vietnam War, adverse health effects, including increased cancer rates, have been felt by both the Vietnamese people and by Vietnam War veterans. All of that said, it is only a precedent of sorts when it comes to chemtrails because of the context. Agent Orange became a horrible wartime weapon. Condensation trails from aircraft are an everyday prospect. If governments really were using them against us, it would rank as one of the biggest health scandals of all time. So where do you stand? Could world governments be hiding something? Do we know all there is to know about Roswell, aliens, or even mind control? For now, those were 4 alleged government cover-ups to make you question reality. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.